DeShaun Foster is in the respect rebuilding business. What he's done over the last month has been nothing short of outstanding. And how does the new chancellor play a role in this?
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxheimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for your support. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Go create an account and check out Gametime. Get your tickets to those big-time events like UCLA football, which is where we start today. The Bruins have been on a relentless pursuit of getting the best recruits possible for the class of 25. I was rereading something that was written by CBS Sports about the Bruins and their outlook in mid to early May, where UCLA, after the Chip Kelly exit, departure, the hiring of DeShaun Foster, the Bruins found themselves in an 18-team Big Ten. Say that again, 18-team Big Ten, where that seems absurd already. But the Bruins are somehow 16 in a power rankings for this upcoming year. What the outlook look like with the new head coach, seeing talent leave, as it's slowly done over the last month, little by little. After almost zero transfer portal entries, it's slowly happened bit by bit. What DeShaun Foster has done over the last month is done a lot to rebuild the respect of the UCLA brand, UCLA football as a whole, when it comes to recruiting. I've already talked about this a little bit last episode, but let's revisit this for the Bruins. Over the last month, practically since the Bruins were rated on CBS Sport, whatever you look at, the Bruins aren't highly regarded heading into this Big Ten tenure as a football program. Now, DeShaun Foster, when they are ranked 16 out of 18, has gotten 5 recruits since, including Mad Ava. Probably butchered it, but we'll get that correct over and over again. Bruins are getting top-tier offensive linemen, defensive linemen, DBs, and are getting crystal balled for others. So 5 official commits since being ranked in the 16 out of the 18 Big Ten teams. They find themselves now in the class of 25, in the middle part of the Big Ten, which, yes, if you look at all these other programs, you're going to think, okay, UCLA 8th in a conference, but the climb they've had in just 3 to 4 weeks' time has shown the immense success and the potential for what UCLA can have in the future, that they can be a player not only in recruiting, but the NIL game, and that they can be a big-time contender for years to come in Big Ten play. What DeShaun Foster is doing from getting all these commits from year in to year out prove, hey, he's in the respect-building business. And remember, in this new day and age of college football, they're trying to play games on Fridays. They're trying to do all these different things. And UCLA is getting a lot of respect when it comes to rankings and everything. Heck, the Bruins got back-to-back Friday night games. It seems like a slap in the face to me. Prime time, yada, yada. They're going to have their own. Yeah, who's really watching a Friday night college football game? That's not late night. That's not Pac-12 after dark, as we so loved on Saturday nights. High school football is a Friday night activity. So with the Bruins getting slapped on those Friday night games, they're still trying to garner respect to get those midday, early afternoon, primetime windows and show, hey, we're a program to contend with the recruiting, the ratings, the attendance, everything. And what DeShaun Foster has done by reinstating the spring game, bringing back the love it seems like UCLA fans are slowly going to pour in, we'll see attendance numbers soar. Whether it's all UCLA fans or the road fans, it's just going to happen in the Rose Bowl this upcoming year. And most importantly, the Bruins, just based off this climb, have leapfrogged the likes of, in the class of 25 recruiting so far, Washington, Iowa, Michigan, and Nebraska. Think about those teams. What UCLA has leapfrogged in next year's recruiting class. Technically, if you think about it, the current recruiting class that they're trying to bring forth more talent in. UCLA's official 10 commits. If you look at the 24/7 sports site, And while there's still a ways to go and make up ground against the Oregons, the Minnesotas, and others, the fact that they're out recruiting the Nebraskas and the Michigans, when it comes to schools like Purdue and Northwestern, when it comes to academic standards, the Bruins are making sure they have a leg up on those. That's where UCLA has to compare themselves with. How are they doing in comparison to the other programs that are big names and big brands? How are they doing in comparison to the other programs that hold themselves to high academic standards and other programs that have new head coaches? And most importantly, what DeShaun Foster is going to have to do, which are two big things for him that we don't know about: talent development and X's and O's. When it comes to games management, everything in between for UCLA moving forward in this Big Ten era. Now, he's going to need a lot of support from the fan base, from commitment to recruits who aren't just going to come here and bounce to other Big Ten SEC schools or some other super league that might form in the future, right? That throws them big NIL dollars over and over and over again. But how does he get that support? Well, it's going to come potentially with the new chancellor the Bruins UCLA as a whole has named. And who is it? I'll tell you next on Locked On UCLA. Let's talk about Gametime, because Gametime has killer last-minute deals, all-in prices and views from your seats, lowest price guarantees. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets, all tickets, because all you got to do is check out those last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% when buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And they've got all-in pricing where you can see the pricing up front, no extra surprise fees. There's no surprise fees at checkout. You're like, what am I going to buy? Okay, that's the price. What are the extra? Oh, they tell you what you're paying up front. You don't got to guess an extra $20. That's not what you got to do. They tell you that. And also, you got to look more, the lowest price guarantee, because Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference with their lowest price guarantee. Same row, same price. If you look around, they got that. Take the guesswork out of buying those tickets, those NBA Finals tickets as well with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, use the code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Create an account, download the app, and get last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so today I started talking with the likes of the rebuild and the respect DeShaun Foster is trying to usher in with recruiting, getting UCLA on the map, building their brand into what is a new day and age of the NIL, probably paying players in the future pretty soon, and then all of a sudden into this new media rights deal, traveling across the country for every sport, and starting with Big Ten football. That's what UCLA is dealing with. Even though the Bruins just released their women's volleyball schedule in Big Ten play, we're starting with football. We're talking all these big things. But where does UCLA Athletics as a whole, going to get their support? Where does it come from? Well, it's been long known that Gene Block, the current UCLA chancellor, who is slowly on his way out to retiring and stepping down, he is finding his way that UCLA need to find a replacement. And while the new guy is not going to officially be in power, in charge, be the leader until January 2025, UCLA has finally named a new chancellor. His name is Julio Frenk. He is the University of Miami president, and he is the new chancellor for UCLA. And I've read different things about opinions. Has Gene Block been not so helpful for UCLA athletics in funding and support, other than helping sign off and push through UCLA's move to the Big Ten, which is one nice parting gift for UCLA. Remember, the Bruins have, beyond just the athletic part, arguably the biggest brand academically across the U.S. beyond, of course, different schools. You can battle that, but what's the most applied to public school? What's all these most applied to schools in the country? UCLA's there. They're tough to get in. Rising attendance and rising numbers of enrollment. UCLA has a lot of things that the new chancellor is going to have to deal with. Julio Frenk coming in from Miami, whether it's protest, all these different things. I was reading a long list of different things beyond just the athletic stuff that Teresa Watanabe who wrote in the LA Times about this new chancellor who comes in in a day and age where UCLA is a little divisive. Okay, well, it's still the same with an athletic department, like 95% of athletic departments operating at a big deficit. But how can UCLA get a little bit more love and support? Well, this is somebody who, after the retirement of Gene Block and the interim chancellor, can come in. And I was reading what the Bruin Report put on. They had a nice write-up about what Frenk was important about. Julio Frenk, he was aware of tradition at Miami, the U, right? Helped increase funding significantly. And comparing that to Gene Block, the big thing is he had the big last-minute move, and that's the last thing we'll know for Gene Block, that big move, and he got a lot of support when he announced his retirement. But UCLA needs an additional added support when they're coming into potentially having to pay players. NIL support, which some might say, and soon might be the same thing, how to maintain student athletes' welfare, how to get fans in the stands, how to maintain game day environment, how to get everybody up to the date, where the newest thing that's going to happen in all the other sports too, potentially sports like baseball, which hasn't officially happened yet, the NCAA may limit the amount of scholarships you have. They're slowly changing the likes of how you get all sorts of coaches. You can have unlimited coaches. That's why Mick Cronin had 50 of them on his staff last year. But now there's not going to be a limit on scholarships. And every single player on a team, like in SEC country, they're probably going to go get scholarships or pay their players to come there, 1 through whatever number you got for a roster size. Now, a limited scholarship, that is probably coming in the future, where you're not going to have scholarship limits like a smaller sport, like in college baseball, where they have 11.7 scholarships to spread out. Every player in that roster can get a scholarship. So this is a big domino effect from DeShaun Foster needing the additional support. And from what I've read and looking and reading about, the important thing is he has been important. He was important to the Miami Hurricane sector, helped 2.5 billion fundraising campaign, a centennial fundraising campaign in Miami. This is all from Bruin Report Online. And the big thing is he is hopefully, being a little younger than Gene Block, going to turn things around when it comes to the head top dog at UCLA supporting UCLA Athletics. Now, he's already got a lot to deal with. There's already a lot of issues coming in. Everybody's going to be pulling him each which way. But you know what helps? You know what helps support an outlook on life? You can read all these different things. Sports. What gets that bigger image? What gets support? What gets students wanting to come even more? Beyond the academics, what speaks for itself at UCLA? Athletics. Getting people to fill the freaking Rose Bowl. Maybe he kicks something and starts something like an on-campus stadium, which has been debated on this show, debated on every UCLA platform and everywhere possible. But the biggest thing is a new chancellor coming in, a new era, new energy, new breath of fresh air when it comes to football, and a lot of supportive minds around DeShaun Foster. Mick Cronin bringing 8 newcomers in with 3 returning starters and some key contributors. You're telling me that's not ready for prime time? UCLA softball, their recent signee was the National Gatorade Player of the Year, or pitcher, one of the two, right? And they're trying to compete with these SEC schools, like at softball Oklahoma. They're winning 4 in a row, right? When it comes to baseball, only 2 conferences represented, and the Big Ten wasn't one of them. That's just baseball for a UCLA team that recently, I believe, in the last year, technically had a number 1 class or was close to a top-tier class and hasn't done anything in recent years. Women's basketball, going to Big Ten era, they've got a top-tier class that should be competing for a national championship this year. Football speaks for itself. They should be having a restored respect, tradition, and everything. It's not understanding to the tradition, which is what Frenk realized at Miami. He's trying to bring and restore something at UCLA that we all debate. Are we fickle Southern California, LA fans, casual, whatever? Or is there something that can be burning and that is untapped and has been forgotten about for a long time? And I think that's what he can bring after the last near decade at Miami. Coming in here, and not everything's going to be on his shoulders. Of course, Martin Jarmond has to be a big part of that too as the athletic director. They have to go hand in hand with DeShaun Foster. And it's a whole big thing. But one big question mark atop the whole thing has been answered. And he got support in fundraising for Miami. Now let's look what that looks like in a public sector with UCLA. Triple, quadruple the student size in a different market with a different fan support. It looks good. I believe in DeShaun Foster as well. I'm believing in things and having a positive outlook. So let's get excited for what UCLA could do in the future now that the dominoes are slowly, everything's getting into place. So I wonder what it looks like next. Speaking of next episode, we're talking UCLA's biggest impact newcomer. We're going to rank them. We're going to try. We're going to try our best. So stay tuned for that episode, and we'll talk more football as well and the upcoming day and age and reflections on the athletic year as a whole for UCLA in the next upcoming Locked On UCLA episodes. So stay tuned for that. I'm Zach signing off. Get your hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.